Just go to the Treksphere.
And we're live! Yay!
Ho, 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 ho.
Live from across 3 different international borders.
Yes.
and one time zone. Well, a few time zones, technically.
Time zones suck. Yeah, but they do.
Yeah,
Everything
well,
should be on British Standard
try,
Time.
Try to think in the Star Trek universe how time zones even suck even more.
Oh, Lord.
Like, come on. So, yes, it is Tuesday. It is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a few dropping rates, but a few... well, hopefully my connection will survive. And, yes, so it's time for Treksphere Live with your host, James! I'm doing my best.
Hello.
I'm doing my best for you, mate.
Right, so we have Jeff with us today, and he's going to talk about Starship Excelsior, which is an audio drama, and
Yes.
has been going a long time, and that's about as much as I know about it. So yeah, Jeff, talk.
Oh, what an intro.
Wow! That is...
Immediate under the bus throwing. Thank you, James.
Right?
All right. Well, I don't know if we've got anybody back from the first night that we did this, but I'm Jeff Lincoln, big time Star Trek fan, but even more so, I'm a big fan of Star Trek fan productions, and it goes from anywhere from, I know, the cringy fan fictions that you can find anywhere on the internet, all the way to the professionally done fan films that you can find on various sources like YouTube. But when it comes to fan productions, my all-time favorite is fan audio dramas. For 3 reasons. One, you've got to respect where entertainment came from in the beginning. Back in the heyday, all we had was radio. So there was no moving picture. You could only have what is referred to as the theater of the mind. The second reason why I like them more than really anything else is the guidelines don't have anything to do with them. You can get away with serialized audio dramas with CBS at this time. Knock on wood. Where's a piece of wood I can knock on? And the third thing is that with fan audio drama, it's been around for much longer than fan film, so there's quite a few selections you can go through to find them. There's an actual website out there called... I can't remember the name of it, but... a lovely woman by the name of Barbara Reeder, she goes through and she puts together this huge list of fan audio dramas and fan productions that come out. And I actually happened to run across one back when it was originally called Star Trek Excelsior. And after the guidelines came out, they had to change their name to Starship Excelsior. Now, a little background behind it from what I've been able to pull together for, research is that Star Trek Excelsior actually started as a forum-based roleplay. And they decided to turn it into an audio drama using some of the characters from the show, from their roleplay. Now, Star Trek Excelsior, Starship Excelsior, I'm just going to call it Star Trek Excelsior. It's easier, and I'm not going to get confused. The basis for the story, I mentioned this in our first live stream, and it was based on a TNG episode where Picard and several other high-ranking Starfleet captains met up on a planet, and they were discussing an infiltration of Starfleet and the Federation.
Conspiracy.
Yes, I can't remember the title for the love of God. I've looked it up multiple times. I keep forgetting the title. And, to sum up that episode real quick, it was, an infestation from outside the Federation that was rapidly growing until, TNG cast saves the day.
By
But-
exploding a giant alien with phasers. But, yeah.
Yes, literally, the first time you ever saw that kind of thing in Trek, that was the most gruesome thing you could ever watch. A guy literally got phasered opened, and the thing exploded into a million pieces. Rather gory million pieces, too.
Yeah, that thing was banned from the UK.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that episode, along with a few others.
Well, bravo for bootleggers, then? No, I don't condone piracy and bootlegging. Go buy the official stuff. Star Trek Excelsior, they actually, decided to delve into where did they come from? Why did they do this in the first place? And the premise of like the first 4 episodes is the Starship Excelsior, which is I believe it's the Excelsior C, and it is a sovereign class starship, and they go off to find out information about these creatures. I can't remember what they called them in the show. I mean, they've got so many great episodes that I can't remember what they officially call them. But I do remember what they called them on a side story, and they just simply called them the Buggers. Kind of reminds me of Ender's Game, how they described the alien race. They called them the Buggers in the book. And the Excelsior has a hidden past behind it regarding the original captain, and that the captain actually goes by the name of Rachel Cortez, and she's played by Elise Krawick, who also has a rather large role in Star Trek Outpost. Sounds exactly like Gates McFadden.
Wow.
The way she talks and stuff.
The way she talks, her accent, her persona just reminds me so much of Gates McFadden's performance as Dr. Crusher in both Excelsior and Outpost. Now, I'm just going to quickly swap over to the Star Trek Excelsior website, and I just want to quickly go through here. So they've got a total of... Come on, get to the bottom. Oh, I skipped it. So they've got a total of 5 seasons right now. Each season is about, I want to say 4 to 8 episodes, except for season 4. That one was the longest one. But season 4 had absolutely the best wrap-up, and I believe it's actually public knowledge that the final episode of season 4 had very little to do with the fan actors. Season 4's conclusion had the return of Walter Koenig, Nichelle Nichols, and oh, come on, where's the credits list? There it is. My internet's running slow. Season 3, I'm scrolling through here, just a long list of stuff. Season 4. Oh, well, it's got so many people on the list that it actually has its own separate page for the credits. So it had Nichelle Nichols come back as Uhura, Walter Koenig came back as Pavel Chekhov, and Robin Curtis reprised her role as Savick.
Oh.
And I believe this is the original actress, Joan Linville. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. It's listed as the Legate, but it was the Romulan captain that we saw in the original series, the Enterprise incident.
Oh, yes. They never gave her a proper name. She has a name in a few different, especially in timelines. I'll have to look it up, but yeah, Yeah. They gave her a name like recently, officially. I think in the Star
Yeah.
Trek licensing.
Which Star Trek Continues used in their final 2 episodes, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I was going to say they called her. Oh, I can't remember now.
But I've been waiting for this one page on the Excelsior website to load, and it's the About page. So I'm just going to read it really quickly. The overview. The USS Excelsior, fourth starship to bear the name, is on a 2-year mission of exploration on the far side of the galaxy. Some would call this an honor for Commander Alcar Dovan and his young crew, especially coming so soon after the tragic death of Captain Cortez and so many veteran officers at Valandria. Oh boy, somebody's in trouble. Certainly that's what Admiral Parker's telling the press. Those with a more cynical mindset, such as, oh, I don't know, Captain Dovan himself, would call it exile, a cover-up designed to keep the Excelsior out of the public eye after their shocking, top-secret discovery of a terrifying threat to the entire galaxy. But as the dedication plaque says, wherever you go, there you are. And the Excelsior crew have thrown themselves into their frontier expedition with zest. Since passing through the ancient Iconian gateway that sent them to this distant region of space, they have had less and less contact with Starfleet Command and seen sights that they would never have imagined. But why is this area so full of Iconian ruins, and why after a quarter of a million years are so many of them starting to show signs of life? And if that doesn't get you, your gears turning to listen to this show, I don't know what else will. I do have to point out one thing. One character that a lot of people got to like and enjoy is no longer part of the crew, not because of a storyline change, but the lovely gentleman, Michael Liebman, passed away.
Oh.
And they can no longer use his character. Rather than try to recast the character or, change the character up, they decided to actually write him a farewell into the story. Michael Liebman also voiced on Star Trek Outpost as well. And they actually did a whole episode dedicated to the guy.
That's cool. Yeah.
But Star Trek Excelsior is definitely on my top 5 of audio dramas. They've had everything from simple exploration missions all the way up to giant space battles. They use a wide variety of musical content from everywhere. I've heard bits of Star Trek. I've heard some Battlestar Galactica thrown in there. I've heard a couple. I could have sworn I heard some Star Wars at one point. But it's well-used, well-placed bits of music. The voice cast is absolutely phenomenal. I have no complaints whatsoever with the standards that they have set for who they bring into the production. And when you go to their help out page, and you go to their auditions page, they actually have down at the bottom a segment from King Lear and a segment from Romeo and Juliet that you have to audition off of.
Okay.
Wow.
So they have very high standards. But with any fan audio drama, they started somewhere, and it's shaky. They even say it on the very first episode that they remixed this brief intro that, yes, for the new viewer, listener, we understand you want to start from the beginning, but to get a feel from where we are now, we suggest listening to a newer episode. And the first one that they suggest is Tomorrow's Excelsior. Forgetting the title of stuff already. I'm losing it.
That's the one you said was your favorite episode, wasn't it?
Yep, it's my absolute favorite because while I love the Excelsior Sea crew, there's nothing quite listening to Uhura, Pavel Chekhov, and Savick. I mean, I don't think anybody can disagree there. It's a very special episode that they worked very hard to put time, money, and effort into. I think they actually had a Kickstarter to get that episode made. Because they went into a professional studio multiple times, and they had to fly out and cater and a whole bunch of other things. But I was doing some background research into that development process, and when they showed the script to Walter Koenig, apparently he pointed at it, and the first thing he said was, "So can I do all this bit in Russian?" And it's an audio drama, so the caption was, the look on James Haney's face as he's trying to figure out how to put subtitles on an audio drama.
Well, that would have been quite amusing, actually, to see.
The guy, from what I've seen on their Facebook page, working with them was an absolute pleasure, and I can only hope that Starship Excelsior, James Haney, and the crew behind it can, get that opportunity again, get other Star Trek alumni in there. But, CBS guidelines, grrr, and all that, you can't get professionals to do it. But who knows? It's an audio drama. Sky's the limit,
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, as long as you don't take the piss, I don't see audio dramas ever being affected. So.
I don't either. I can only hope.
Yeah, it's about, well, again, it's always, if someone doesn't, how can I say that? As long as someone, just not try it, and we
try it, but don't push it.
Yeah, basically, don't do it for the wrong reasons. Basically,
yes. But yeah,
yeah, you know what I'm going to say.
touchy subject. Avoid.
Yeah. The he who shall not be named, basically.
But yeah, no. Just to again, shout out Starship Excelsior. They've been around since 2007. It's now 2019. They've been around for a while. They know what they're doing. I highly recommend checking them out on their website, starshipexcelsior.com, or you can actually get them on, if you got an iPhone, you can get them on podcasts. I believe they're also on Google Play, or whatever the Android that heresy thing uses. Yeah, I don't like Android. No secret.
Why?
No secret. I don't like Android. I shall continue to hug and make love to my iPhone. Again, yeah, they recommend listening to some of the newer episodes, but for me, I can't listen to one episode that's further down the line. I have to hear it from the beginning. And I'm very glad that I did. It would have been a very different experience starting at this new point in the series and going back. For me, it's kind of a regression. Oop, did we lose James for a second there?
No, just a video. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
There.
Yeah, no, I'm still here.
No, I just happened to see the live stream switch over to Skype's symbol. I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, no. Just quickly going over to their website. You can get it on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, never heard of that, plain old RSS, or Zune. I've never heard of that either.
Zune, that's the old Microsoft when they tried to do the iPod years ago.
And what? And failed miserably.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was actually in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He replaced his cassette player with a Zune player. That was the bleeding edge of technology.
Okay, yeah, that way back machine. Okay, yeah, no wonder it took forever to load. So yeah, so basically, you're looking at iTunes, Google Play. Basically
everywhere you can get your podcasts.
Yep, I mean,
Pretty much.
just straight through StarshipExcelsior.com, Google Play, or iTunes. Again, they're great. And the one other piece of advice I have to any potential listeners for Starship Excelsior: do not skip over their shorts. They might not directly influence some of the storylines, but they're just as good as the full-blown episodes. For an example, my favorite one is the practical joke short that they came up with. Absolute riot. Don't want to skip the shorts. It shows a unique way of telling a Star Trek story.
Well, kind of. Can you compare it to the actual short treks that came out this year, or is it?
Actually, they're kind of close, except one's in audio form. I mean, some of them are just, comedic relief, like the practical joke episode, and others, some of them actually pave the way for, a big storyline.
Okay.
But at the same time, they're also open for help. You can write. Oh, I can't pronounce this word. Vignette? Is that how you pronounce it? Vignette. You can submit vignette scripts for them to work on. Granted, you may not have it picked. They're not going to just say, your work sucks, don't ever talk to us again. They will read your script, they will review it, and they'll let you know. But they're also taking auditions, for, small parts, whether or not those small parts actually, become regularly occurring characters, up to them. Or you can actually offer to help be an audio engineer and help them actually edit and compose these episodes. So I highly recommend, people take a look at them, listen to them, and ultimately you're just hearing from me and my personal opinion about it. I say check it out. Make your own assumptions. Make your own judgments on Starship Excelsior. But if I have to put a number on it, I would give them a 9.5 out of 10. The missing 0.5, there's not a new episode out until Valentine's.
So, like 2 days then.
Yes, but they don't exactly have a very busy release schedule. They release quality episodes over the course of the year. But they're not numerous because, like everybody, we all have our own personal lives. And we can't just sit down and do Star Trek all day long as much as we
Blasphemy!
Yes, you should be having a shed in your garden and.
I don't have a shed in my garden, but I do have a closet. Does that work?
You have a closet in the garden?
Really? That's weird.
I never said I was normal.
Fair enough.
Well,
But again, check them out. Come up with your own, your own way of looking at it. I can just say that I highly enjoy it. I always look forward to seeing a new episode come out, and it's quality work. There's no disappointment whatsoever on my end.
Okay.
I hear you. So that
Sorry.
wow, Jeff, you stop talking. You're broken.
I'm just waiting for somebody to say something else because I have a tendency to ramble. I'm just waiting for somebody to say, "Shut up!"
Well,
No, that's fine.
thank
I mean,
you.
it's good to hear, basically.
There is more to their storyline, but I don't want to spoil it all. I want to get people interested. I want people to go listen to it for themselves. If I tell you all the story, there's no point.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Jeff. Hearing forward, I guess maybe to listening to some more of that? Maybe
Oh!
I'll yes.
I don't mean to cut you off, but thank you for fixing the picture. I can fox that.
Well, there. Yeah, maybe it was a subliminal thing.
Oh, what? I didn't even notice that. Was there a spelling mistake in the thing?
Yeah. Well, the
There
thing
was-
is, that's
there
the
wasn't
fun of
one.
having.
There was
that-
two.
That's the fun of having a font like that is you can hide typos, and with the compression rate of the video and the weirdness of the font, it can hide many typos. So
I should remember that for the future.
but that's all right. Never happened. We'll fix that in
It's the joys of
post.
being live, isn't it? I mean, it's one of those things that.
Otherwise, I wanted to do a quick news roundup. There's been a few tidbits, no major breaking news, but still a few interesting things. If you go over to Trekcore, you will find a very in-depth interview with designer Tamara Deverell. Last weekend there was a Canadian, I think it was directors. There was basically a kind of conference for I'm trying to find it, and a Directors Guild of Canada put a one-night-only special presentation with Star Trek's Discovery Art Department. And unfortunately, I was 600 kilometers away, but I wish I could have been there. But
Me
they
too.
had a very good chat with her about the sets and how she took over from middle of season 1 and basically changes from season 1 to season 2, the touches on the new ready room and all. So if you're interested in that, someone's playing with a microphone.
Yeah, that was me. I accidentally toggled it on and off. I get the wired headphones that's got the the scroll wheel and the switch, and I happened to move forward and accidentally push the switch down to the off position. I was like, wait a minute, I might have to say something. Better put that back on.
Just do what I do. Mute it from Skype, and then you can't forget.
Well, it wasn't. It's not a matter of muting. It was an accidental muting. The switch went down to the off position when I moved forward. It has a belly.
iPhones.
No, not on an iPhone. I'm on my computer this time.
Okay.
But
So,
I has a little bit of a belly, and I bumped my keyboard thing, and it muted my microphone. So sorry.
So yeah, just to come back. So yeah, there's they have a pretty in-depth chat talking about
There it goes again.
Did it again. That's it. I'm putting the freaking switch around my neck. It not happening.
There you go. So yes, talking about how they went, the a lot of changes were not seen because they to basically sorry. They had to last season. They had to undo and redo lots of the set because they were interchangeable, and that caused a lot of wear and tear. And this year they went with more standing sets, and each sets are now separate, so it causes a lot less headaches in terms of production.
Did they give any specifics as to which ones that they had to redo, or is just in general we had to redo sets?
Because I know like
the mess hall was
mess
doubled
hall,
as the
quarters. Yep. So now they're on separate things.
And Lorca's ready room is now Burnham's lab.
Yep. Well, it's a lab. They in the interview they specifically said like it's not Burnham's lab. It's a science lab. And and they discussed how like if you look at the table in Pike's ready room, there's like a lightning streak across the table that burned its way through the wood, and also like all the the desert, like the big desert painting, and how they wanted to make it feel homey and and nice, and how they reused the reuse of the Shenzhou Bridge for the Section 31 two-level bridge.
So
also.
nice. So nice.
So, makes me think, if you look at Next Generation, you will often see the Battle Bridge being reused for many other sets. Like either when they need a jury room, a trial room, or like an alien bridge, they will often reuse the Battle Bridge. And once you see that, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, I mean, Star Trek is known for that, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
The Defiant Bridge was reused in Voyager.
Enterprise.
Yeah, and...
Wait, say again?
Didn't you know that?
Say what?
Yeah, the Defiant Bridge was reused in... Is it Live Fast and Prosper? In Voyager.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
And it was used as the freighter bridge. What was it? The Fortunate
Son, I think. Yeah.
Was that the one where they were pretending to be the Voyager crew and conning people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
The one.
I could see that one. And you also said Enterprise as well.
Yeah. When Travis went home to the freighter, Fortunate Son.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't see that. Holy God.
But then there's the Shenzhou, or Shenzhou, or however you want to call it.
Shenzhou, yeah, I think is the proper pronunciation.
The chair was used in Escape Artist.
Yep. And also I think we mentioned that in past, but the brig set was reused
Excuse me.
multiple times, mostly as Spock's quarters. And in the interview, again, she says, like, I wish I had more time to, do proper, but it's, often a question of time, like so many other things. So, the brig was reused for Spock's quarters, and also in the mud short, I think it was also the Tellarite ship's bridge also. So lots of reuse, but then again, that's Star Trek. I mean, and especially since we know they're having space actual physical space issues, because they reached the limit of Pinewood Studios, and
there's only so much space before you get roof.
and they have huge sets. Let's be honest. Like the Discovery Bridge is I think twice the size of what the Enterprise D used to be.
I mean, it's Discovery.
It's
Discovery. Discovery's bridge being big. I mean, did you see the modified Shenzhou bridge for the Section 31 ship?
Yeah.
Pretty sure that dwarfs Discovery's bridge. But at the same time, the Klingon bridge, that one was pretty freaking big.
Oh, yeah. And
Holy
again,
God.
They reused elements from it for the Klingon episode
World?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I actually saw last week's and the weeks before episode today, just to get caught up for this thing that we're doing tonight. Cramming.
So yeah,
my college days were over.
So if you're into that kind of thing, highly recommend. And I hope
there's a couple of videos on YouTube actually that I watched this week. There was one that pointed out that parts of the motion picture bridge was used in Q-Who for the Borg cube.
Mm-hmm.
Like the background thing.
I remember watching an interview, and when they were undoing, like when Voyager ended, they were not destroying, but they were undoing the main engineering set, and they found stuff that dated from 1978, from Phase 2, before it was before it was called a motion picture They found
Yeah.
relics of, like, it's kind of like an old painting. You have layers upon layers upon layers.
I mean, the
'Cause-
biggest giveaway of that, I mean, Voyager's warp core. Go
Yeah.
watch the motion picture.
It's,
I don't know. There's something a little similar there.
But yeah, so they found stuff like it's kind of like removing little or doing an X-ray of because those sets they were there for what 20-something years, from 70, like around 78 to 2000. Well, Voyager, I think they undid a lot of stuff because Enterprise was so radically different in terms of design. So that's why what I saw, like but I remember at one time reading a post how Drexler and Okuda found like an underground cache of old costume that dated from 20-something years ago. Like that's when they were shooting for Deep Space Nine of Voyager. So like stuff that dated from the motion picture, and they were having fun there. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was all on the Paramount lots, wasn't it?
Yep. And hopefully that's where there's my Canadian pride, and I'm very happy that Discovery is shooting in Toronto, but hopefully, to see Star Trek coming back to the U.S., especially California. Hopefully, if they go there, at least hopefully they'll be able to use the Paramount lot again, because so much history there.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you believe, some of the crap that you read online, it's all to do with...
God!
Anyway, isn't it?
Can you imagine if they actually shoot on the Paramount lot? How that's gonna blow their minds. They're gonna, it's Paramount and it's CBS and like it's Kelvin timeline reboot number 3, and Picard's gonna have hair and it's gonna be gay with someone from Uranus.
Well, I was flicking through Facebook today, and what was it? They've called the new Picard show. They've called it, instead of Jean-Luc, they're calling him Jake Picard or something, because he's got to be 25% different. It's just
I hope John Eves is eating up his words now. Well, I'm pretty sure he regrets that comment, but
there is. I can't remember where I saw it now.
Yeah, I saw an interview a few weeks ago where he actually took the time to explain it. I'll link it. It's on one of my friends' Twitter page. Actually pinned it on his Twitter feed. It was colonist, Mr. Jeff the Colonist. He put it on. Yeah, if you look up Jeffrey's Tuber, he's Jeff the Colonist on Twitter. He pinned it on his. It was for an interview on transport for the podcast Transport Room 3, and like John Eves actually said, that's bullshit. There's no 25% rule. It was an internal rule. It was not like a rule. It was not But then again, haters gonna hate. What can I say? So
yeah, I mean, when it first came out, I mean, one of the biggest explanations that I can think of for it was all to do with merchandising, because you can't, if you're going to start bringing out new lines of merch for a new show, you can't, you
want to
have the original series Enterprise being reused for another show, because you're not going to be able to rebrand it as seen in Discovery.
Maybe
so, I mean,
if they were produced in by the same producing crew or the same producing company, but it's a different era of producing. So it's like basically 50 years later. So yeah. Also, there's on Trekcore there was also an interview with Gersha Phillips talking about the uniforms for the Enterprise, and how they forgot to put the rank sleeves, the cuff ranks on the uniforms for the first days of shooting. So they had to CGI them in. I read that a few weeks probably before the season started, but it's a nice story. I mean, it shows it happens basically in every production, there's like a critic. It's not even a critical, but it's still something Trekkies will pick up on easily. So I'm glad they caught up early enough so it didn't affect them too much.
What you mean, like when Discovery first started and everyone was like, "Where's the ranks? Where's the rank?" Yeah, it's on the delta. Oh, that's not a delta. Oh. You know, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah. And
well, I mean, that's the hardcore fanboys. I mean,
we all are.
On one way, they're not wrong, but they're not right at the same time. You know, it's like it's
always
different era of Trek. They're allowed to have creative license.
One, but two, you can always refer to that famous memo from Bob Justman, I think, to the costuming department in '68, I think, where they said, please don't give different badges for different ships. Starfleet has the Delta badge. The Antares in Charlie X had a different badge because it was a merchant fleet. They were not Starfleet. And apparently that memo got lost somewhere and yet people, the thing with the badges, right? The idea that every ship had a different badge, yes, it started from TOS a little bit, but you saw other crew, like crew from starbases, and even if you look closely, you will see that the crew from the Defiant on the Tholian web, they had Delta insignias on them. And yet, when they did Enterprise, maybe because back then they didn't have the cleaned up HD footage that we have now. But the idea that every ship had a different badge started one with the ship, not one with the TOS, but also because of Franz Joseph's technical manual. And that's a lot of fans can't draw a line between canon and fanon.
Which,
you know.
I mean,
Not saying a word.
which is why, you know, I appreciate what Star Trek Continues did with their final episode regarding the Delta insignia. They didn't go in detail, but they were like, so, you know, because of what you did over the last 5 years and, you know, your accomplishments and everything, Starfleet Command has decided to issue this as the official Starfleet emblem, and they left it at that.
Yeah, I know, but they took
it's fanon.
They took the established fanon and they put it on film, which is nice. I mean, but at the same time,
the established fanon, but they did it in a way that it worked with the canon as well.
Yeah, I know, but it still irks me, like, you know, because I always see things from a producing perspective first and above all, and always take the real world perspective of, you know. And it might make me a bad Trekkie. I don't know.
No. The only way you could be a bad Trekkie is getting Galaxy Quest and Star Trek confused. Just because they're both great things doesn't mean you should get them confused. Or, another instance, stand in front of a Darth Vader statue and do the Vulcan, you know.
Yeah, well,
so that's it. That's a bad Trekkie.
I am Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan.
That was Back to the Future, and that got a pass because that was funny.
Can you imagine George McFly going up to Gene Roddenberry in like, you know, in the 70s or the 80s or 60s, and you mean an alien? I just called himself Darth Vader.
Even then, could you? Since technically that took place in '55, can you imagine? Can you imagine the show actually coming out in '66 and him picking up on that a few years later? It's like, wait a minute. I know this from somewhere.
Yeah. Must have been, yeah. I would imagine trying to corner Lucas or Runberry in a. But yeah, otherwise, news roundup. Is there anything else? Well, the Patrick Stewart show has a name.
We don't know it yet.
Exactly. That's basically it. And I might need confirm what I think. What I read is that the show will not be 20 years after Nemesis, but 20 years after All Good Things.
Yeah, that's
from I believe Stewart said it was 19 years after the last time he put on the TNG uniform, not the First Contact uniforms.
Yeah, exactly. So that would still put it after when Romulus exploded, but just like 2-3 years after, not like 13 years after, 10 or 13 years after. So it puts us closer to the Romulan incident.
I want to do a little bit of math in my head. The TNG was 7 years, and then in Nemesis he said that he was waiting 15 years to tell Data to shut up. So 15 minus 7. Oh God, I can't do mental math.
Well,
handy dandy calculator. 15 minus 7. So 8 years, and they said it was 19.
Yeah.
So to about
2389.
Yeah. Yep. Roughly there.
Which is strange, because didn't Voyager come back in 2387?
Let me memory alpha that. Let's see here. Endgame. Let's play who can Google it fast enough.
Or was it 2379?
I think it was 2378.
Okay.
So still time for Janeway to show up as an admiral. Well,
I really hope that she does.
Still after Nemesis, by the way, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Janeway was in Nemesis for all of 5 minutes.
Not even 5 seconds. Wow, 30 seconds or something. Like not even a minute. They wanted 7 of 9 somehow, but I don't know
It
what
would have
made a lot of sense. Yeah, they just wanted a boo factor, I guess.
Oh God. I mean, don't get me wrong, nice, but oh God. It made more sense to have Janeway there, and it was good to see that she stayed in Starfleet and, achieved the rank of Admiral for what she did. Broke Prime Directive on God knows how many times. Did I say that out loud?
And killed Tuvix.
Yeah, that too. Oh, and James, if you want to go to Trafalgar Studios on 25th of June, you can go see Marina Sirtis in Dark Sublime, a comedy about space and time. It's an upcoming theater show made by fans, starring Marina Sirtis. So that ought to be interesting.
Yeah, but you see, that was pale in comparison to when I went to see Patrick Stewart. So.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I saw him not last December, but the December before when he was in London with Ian McKellen.
Mm.
So
talk about ultimate bromance between those two.
That's one person I'd love to see in any card show, actually.
Who?
Ian McKellen?
Ian McKellen come on as a guest star or something?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Has to be done.
Absolutely.
I mean, they managed to get, in Enterprise, the guy who played Al in Quantum Leap.
Dean Stockwell. Yes, they
managed to get Dean Stockwell in Enterprise, just for the lulls, and just to have him with Scott Bakula in the same episode. So I figured,
I honestly, I know Dean Stockwell very, very easily just from the fact that he's in Battlestar Galactica. If there's any show I like equally to Star Trek, I can't say more because I'll get smacked. Equally to Star Trek, it would be the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, and he played a very important character.
Yes, and very interesting character too. gotta say.
Yeah, for a psychotic robot. Yeah, he played a very interesting character. But bringing it back to Star Trek, he looked so different between those two shows, and they were on at the same bloody time.
Wasn't
Battlestar Galactica, when he first joined in, it was 2005, I want to say.
Yeah.
2005, 2006 was when he had his run on Battlestar Galactica. And Enterprise was still running. If I remember correctly, Enterprise was still running.
Those were the days.
Yeah, the days of good sci-fi, not this wrestling crap that we see every night on sci-fi.
Yeah, but yeah, the days of good SYFY. And no, it wasn't even called sci-fi with Y's yet.
No, it was legit sci-fi, and it was that's okay. Why'd you rebrand? And you're not even putting on sci-fi.
The thing is like I will never forgive sci-fi for cancelling Stargate.
You may not be disappointed. Brad Wright's working on a new Stargate, so.
Well, I mean, Sci-Fi also canceled they canceled the Expanse, but thankfully Amazon got the rights. So.
Yes, that's true. But the Sci-Fi pulls the plug on so many good shows prematurely. Warehouse 13, Eureka, Battlestar Galactica, Stargate.
And yet we have 14 seasons of Supernatural. Although that's not sci-fi. That's
it's technically classified as sci-fi because there's zombies in it and zombies fit under the sci-fi.
Yeah, but it's not Sci-Fi Channel though, right?
No, it's
CW.
It's something else. CW.
Oh
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. CW renews. Yeah. CW is the antithesis of sci-fi. They renew everything.
Same with TNT, and I was very surprised. TNT actually managed to pull off a couple of good sci-fi shows. My favorite from them, honestly, being Falling Skies with Noah Wyle.
Heard good thing about that. Yeah,
Falling Skies, amazing.
It was a good show. I mean, it even had a video game made off of it in the style of XCOM.
Nice.
So I really enjoyed their work. And again, it's TNT. When you think TNT, you don't think sci-fi shows. You think, action adventure, Indiana Jones or, Hunt for Red October-esque type stuff. You don't think, aliens invading and taking over Earth.
There was a show on TNT. What was it?
I think TNT also did a remake of V at one point.
Yes, that was
it was ABC, I think.
That was ABC?
I believe it was ABC.
Oh, ABC is another one known for making sci-fi and then epically bombing when they do it.
Don't know. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on ABC, isn't it? And that's
yeah, but the thing is, my theory on that is that since ABC is owned by Disney, they can just bypass ABC and say, no, that show's staying on.
Yeah. Disney owns everything. Disney owns everything at this point.
Which isn't far from the truth. I love it when people are like, "Oh yeah, they should get Star Trek." It's just like, no, please, dear God, no. No offense. Not that I don't like her. I quite liked her character. I really don't need T'Pol becoming a Disney princess. If you think about it, the Alien Queen and Ripley and all that are Alien Prince.
God, come on, don't break my mind. Don't. Oh, he went there.
Yeah, no, that's strange. That is because it was network was ABC, but it was done by Warner Brothers.
Yeah, licensing. It's fun. So anything else? Let's see. Sacramento plans to rename park for hometown hero LeVar Burton. So
if anybody deserves it, it's him. The guy's done a lot more, outside of Trek for, the little guy than most people could. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I can remember a show called Reading Rainbow.
Oh, yes. Well, I watched it, and I didn't even understand English.
Was that ever on in the UK? I don't think it was.
I don't know. It was more mainly a North American
Yeah.
type deal. I know Canada got it. I don't know if
Well,
Mexico
we got
did, but
PBS, so yeah.
okay. I don't know if Mexico did, but it wouldn't be surprising if they did. But once he got done with Reading Rainbow, he moved on to his online stuff that he does to advocate for reading and getting books to families that can't afford to go out and buy them.
Speaking
So-
of, tomorrow he debuts his new podcast, LeVar Burton Reads.
Yes, that's right. I was just about to bring up the podcast.
There you
You're
go.
reading my mind. You're reading my mind. Get out of my mind.
I'm
You're
actually
not-
reading a page right now, which is in front of me. But
Okay, that's a little more reassuring because I didn't want to be stuck in a collective.
yeah.
Sorry. Bad Borg pun. I'm going to leave now.
And if you're watching NCIS Los Angeles, he will be also in tonight's episode.
Los Angeles, that was the spin-off with Scott Bakula taking the lead, correct?
No, that's New Orleans.
Oh, that was New Orleans.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's enough of those, isn't there? NCIS, LA, New Orleans.
I one thing I like about CBS and the NCIS stuff. Well, it's not NCIS. It's Law and Order, and they have like the Chicago Fire, Chicago Police, and Chicago. It's what I call the Dick Wolf universe. It's all produced by this one guy, and it's all in this shared universe.
James!
It puts the MCU to shame because
JP, I think you missed that one. What James called the universe. Oh my god.
the Dick Wolf verse. The Dick Wolf verse. Yeah, the Dick
The Dick
Wolf.
verse.
You're
Dick
adding,
verse.
You're adding Wolf in there.
JP's trying to be polite, and there's just me. Yeah, Dick verse.
Well, you're British, so yeah. But yeah, so anyone who says like that CBS is not does not understand franchises or multi-universe spanning thing, just look at the ramifications between all the Chicago shows. Like they have the Chicago Police, Fire, and I think a hospital show now. And they have links with NCIS, and NCIS has links with other shows else. So it goes
and it's only going to get bigger because Dick Wolf has another show coming out.
Oh no!
FBI.
FBI.
Oh, wow.
Is another.
Okay.
It's coming out soon. I saw it today while, ironically, binge watching Law and Order SVU. Which, as you say, it's huge. I mean, it started with Law and Order, then you had Law and Order SVU, and then you had Criminal Intent, then you had UK, and 90% of those got canceled. The only one that's still running is SVU, and that's 19 years old now. And now, on top of that, that ties into Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Chicago PD, and now soon to be FBI. Does this guy's brain get any smaller?
20 years SVU.
Yeah, and this all go. I don't know, but this might all go in the what they call the Tommy Westphall universe, because in an episode of the last episode of Saint Elsewhere, you have this autistic kid with a little snow globe, in which the hospital, the Saint Elwes Hospital, is in there. So it's assumed that the whole show was in the mind of that kid. And since there were other characters from other shows that came in to Saint Elsewhere, either as regular or guest stars, so those shows are also in that kid's universe, in that kid's mind universe. So someone is made a graph. Well, actually, a few people made graphs, and it's it's huge. It's the number of interconnecting shows in which characters, guest stars to another show. It's all connected. It all connects to Saint Elsewhere, and so everything is in this one kid's mind. It's
a cool premise to think about, but I still can't see Star Trek connecting to.
Oh no, but I'm just saying that the gist of that is if people come up and say "Oh, CBS don't know how to manage share universes, yeah, just show him Dick Wolf or Saint Elsewhere, or yeah, I think it can manage. It's all a question of producers.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the guy's got some good shows under his belt. I mean, I've never personally, since I'm on watching it now, I've personally never seen SVU. I've only seen the regular Law and Order, and I'm just like, this is like, I hate describing the show because of its subject matter with these words. It's a very enjoyable show for what content is being given. It sounds so dirty because, you know, it's SVU. They deal with, you know, sexual assault, rape, abuse, and it's like, I'm saying this is entertaining. I need to wash my mouth out with soap now.
No, it was It's not.
It's one of those things that you kind of can't say, but you have to say because of the subject matter. But the guy knows how to make an everyday problem relatable to the average viewer in an enjoyable sense that isn't disrespectful.
Yep. And it can create a huge fucking universe with many interconnected shows.
Oh, was that James?
I'm just looking at his resume now. Well, not resume, but on IMDb. He started in 1980. And he's done loads.
Everything.
What's the number at the where it says, you know, producer? There should be like a number right next to it.
Let's see. We have writer at 45 credits. Yeah, 58 credits. 58 shows. Yeah.
We talk about a successful career.
Yeah. Talking about producers, makes me think about people say like Alex Kurtzman does awful stuff, and but thing is, people
I beg to differ.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, people have a horrible memory because they only remember what they want to remember. He produced, I think it was on, he was on Alias, he was on Xena, Warrior Princess, he was on Fringe, also Transform.
Back up. He did Xena?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a co-executive producer. Well, for 6 episodes, thank you, but still.
The more you know.
That was his start. He started actually on Hercules in 99 and then moved for 6 episodes to Xena, and then Jack of All Trades for 8 episodes. Then he worked his way up to Alias, I think, where he was for...
Alias, and then Star Trek, and...
Alias, Fringe, and then Transformers Prime, for which he was, I believe it was highly regarded show by the fans.
That is an amazing show. It's literally, apart from the Generation 1 cartoon, it's the only other cartoon that even compares.
Mm-hmm. So...
It was after he did 2009 that everybody started saying that he was bullcrap and that he was awful.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean,
if you look at his films, you've got Cowboys and Aliens.
I like that movie.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was okay. I mean, he worked on.
There are worse films out there.
Yeah. He worked on Scorpion. The show was kind of okay. It wasn't bad. Just like it was. For a tech head like me, it was a little pushing the limits of the believability. But still, it was nice to see nerds doing nerd stuff with actions, I guess. He still had a good show, but people will only remember the crap shots. He
worked on Sleepy Hollow as well, didn't they?
Yeah. Again, I heard it was okay, but it was kind of boring after a while. He's producer on Hawaii Five-0. Again, highly regarded reboot of the original show. Still running after it's been
almost
9 years. 9, yeah. It's featuring Boomer from the reboot of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, we won't talk about her and her little sex cult that she was in.
Wait, what? What? Oh,
did you not know that?
No, I know about that. I just briefly spaced and I heard that. I was like, yeah, let's not talk about that.
But yeah, so just a reminder to people who wants to badmouth producers or look up their resumes correctly. Just don't remember the bad stuff. Because often enough, like he said, like for The Mummy, he said the movie he got screwed by editing and a whole lot of stuff that wasn't in his basically the studio classic studio interference, and that didn't help the movie. So, and he kind of regrets it to this day. So, I think we can all forgive him that one. And as for Akiva, people say Akiva Goldsman they blame I think it was Goldsman. Let me just see. They kind of blame the bad Batman movies on him, like Batman and Robin, and yet forget that he won an Oscar for Beautiful Mind. So, he wrote a bad Batman movie, won an Oscar for another one. I don't know. Maybe do the parts, people online.
Yeah.
But
Well, as you said a few times earlier, haters gotta hate.
There you go. So yeah, I think we're kind of ready to talk about the Discovery episode because we talked about basically everything else.
You mean the Jet Reno episode?
And I will always say Janet Reno somehow because I think of the SNL skit with the old Attorney General with Will Ferrell. If you watched Saturday Night Live back in the 90s, oh my god, I'm old. But yeah, somehow I always have Janet Reno in my mind. Damn you!
Remind me how old you are again, JP?
35 now, and yeah, I know you're older, but don't play that card with me.
Not by much.
So yeah, we have Jet Reno doing techno babble stuff.
Yeah, I loved that.
We had
I literally
EPS conduits and warp core plasma stuff, and yay, that was fun. But yeah, so basically, Discovery. We saw. So basically, the episode starts. We have number one coming on board, handing out a nifty, nice TOS-like pad to Captain Pike, saying I found traces of Spock. He stole a shuttle and he's on his merry way. Here's the coordinates, and she's having a burger and splashing hot sauce on the bun, which is, yeah, that's weird.
Hey, let's not judge a person on their eating habits. Thank you very much.
And then yeah, so that was basically all of number one. A little bit of name dropping. We have the name of Scotty's predecessor, which I wonderfully forgot. Louvois, I think. Yeah, I think it's Louvois. So it's kind of a French name. And a nice convenient line to say rip off the hollow communicators. They look like ghosts.
Well, from what he was saying, that was the whole reason why the Enterprise suffered catastrophic failure was because of the hollow communication system. And you got to take into consideration, kind of, it may make sense, but it also makes sense in a canon sense because once Pike leaves the Enterprise, he becomes a fleet admiral, and he's going to have some considerable pull in future designs, and it makes sense why you don't see the hollow communicators until DS9 again.
Maybe, yeah. Again, that's for now. It's fanon. People extrapolate, and that's fun. That's nice. And me on my end, I see the Discovery producing crew not assuming their choices, kind of backing off. Basically, I see them brushing away the Brian Fuller. That's what I see. So they brush away the Klingons got hair. They brush away the Brian Fuller's. I wouldn't say stain, but the Brian Fuller weirdness signature, or the desire to make Star Trek to his own image.
Yeah,
I think.
I get the reason why you wanted to do that in the first place, but you had to have known you were going to piss people off.
Oh yeah.
So, with what they're doing to fix I'm going to use air quotes here, problems
Yeah.
Brian Fuller put in, they're not doing a bad job, although it is in your face a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Not so much that it's uncomfortable. It makes sense.
They didn't
I
have.
mean,
they didn't make a whole episode about it, so I'm fine with it. You know.
I mean, the first thing that you see when you get to the Klingon bit is them discussing D7, and I had to do some thinking, and the original series, we never saw a bird of prey until Star Trek 3.
Mm-hmm. Well,
all we ever saw was D7.
One thing is that the bird of prey was originally designed to be a Romulan ship by the Star Trek 3 producing crew. Only later it became a Klingon ship when the script changed. So...
Hey, I'm not going to complain. That was a good movie, and it was a good choice to make them Klingons.
I'm just saying why that's in the from the real world point of view. That's why you never saw that, and because they didn't have any money to, build other ships back in the 60s. So
true, but I mean, canon wise, we never saw anything but D7.
There you go.
And
that's true.
Anything prior to that, it could have looked completely alien. So they kind of had an open book with that one. I mean, it could have looked vastly different. And then the Klingon, this is a little fan in here, but, Klingon C, these Federation ships, they're built differently. They don't look like literally giant bird wings. Maybe we should take some design elements from that and make it a little bit more streamlined and less...
Or they
fancy,
or they took cues from 100 years ago when their ships were D5s instead of D7s.
I was going to say.
Oh God, I sometimes forget Enterprise was a thing.
There was better praise, isn't that? And Raptors. That's the first time, wasn't it? We saw a Klingon Raptor in.
Yeah, I remember the Raptor. I don't remember ever seeing Bird of Prey in Enterprise.
Yeah, the Duras.
I thought that was a Raptor. That was a D5, but was it called a Bird of Prey?
Yeah.
There's the Raptor class. Yeah, there's a Raptor class, which was the sorry, what was the name of the ship? In Sleeping Dogs. And then you have like the D5, I think. Klingon. Yeah, the D5 class was also featured. That was a little bit kind of a mix. Like it was kind of like a D7 with the wings down a bit in a bird of prey fashion. That's it. But yeah, so either way.
Yeah, again, I sometimes forget Enterprise happened. I mean, to me it's a great show, but it wasn't.
But the way I understood it is like the Klingon Empire was fractured by the time of Discovery. So basically, they had like all different kinds of ship, depending on which kind of house built their ships, and and then you have L'Rell and the Torchbearer, and they bring it all back in and say like, okay, now you run. This is the ship from the actual Klingon Defense Force, and there you go. The rest will be your personal ships or your house ships, but they will not represent the Klingon Empire. That's the line.
Just bringing it back to Discovery. I wonder when they're going to put Duras in here.
Oh, do they have to?
I don't know, but it's just there was such a big family name that I'm just waiting for it to come up eventually.
Well, we saw House of Meg, wasn't there? We saw it wasn't official, but it was.
Yeah, it was. He was wearing I was going to say signet, but yeah, it's crest. You had the right word.
Yeah. I actually have those. I'll show them here. Do I? Yeah, just on here. I'll just put them on the screen for a short bit. But time for me to plug for someone I know. It's called if you look up on Etsy, the Mad Klingon. If you need Klingon related pins or sash for your Klingon sash, he's your guy. Cheap and great quality. And you can see the Klingon. Actually, you can see like the light gray ones are the ones from TNG. And somehow when DS9 happened, they decided to switch the insignias, and the ones in dark gray are the one from DS9. So I bought them for since we're talking about Klingons, here you go. That's my little project here. I built a nice Klingon, actually Worf's sash. Sorry, I had to plug it somewhere during the show because I'm so glad I almost finished that project.
I'll show a picture then. Come on, chop.
It's on the.
It's on the screen.
He made that himself.
There's a lag between.
Yeah.
It's gonna show up eventually. Don't worry about it. But yeah, and here, I took the picture with my scant. So
are you wearing the dress variant?
It's not the dress. It's a scant. It's kind of like telling a Scotsman that what he's wearing is a dress.
It's a dress.
And then you're gonna get punched in the face.
Hey, if women had to wear them in TOS, let the guys wear them too. You know.
Oh, speaking of the female variant of the uniform,
yes.
Did you see this week for the very first time we saw the skirt? Bollocks! The skirt version of the Discovery uniform.
Yes,
we did.
Yes.
Yeah, I must have happened to look down at that whenever that happened.
It was what's her face? Is it Commander Non?
Yeah, Non. Yeah.
Oh, the one from the Enterprise.
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing her wearing the skirt.
You'll look again and you'll see. It was. It's funny.
I'm going to rewatch a whole episode just to catch a woman in a skirt. I feel so mature.
It's funny because it just makes me glad because I met Gersha Phillips last year, last Star Trek Las Vegas, and I showed her our pictures of us in our TNG scans. And like she smiled, and I asked her like any plans for, and she just smiled and said, she basically told me like, yeah, it's coming up, although no word on any male variants so far, but yeah.
Saru in one of those.
The makeup department, poor makeup department, because they're gonna have to do the legs now.
JP, I'm actually on Second Life right now, and I got a couple people watching from my Battlestar Galactica roleplay, and I just wanted to relay a message from one of them. It was when your uniform was up, and she says, "Damn, his uniform looks good."
It does. It does.
And I don't mean to nitpick, but it's not a sash. It's a baldric.
It's a baldric, yes. Sorry. But yes, so coming back. So, thing about Commander Non, like she just basically shows up. She says, "Hi, I'm there," and she has like a couple more lines later in the episode, but she doesn't do nothing. We don't even know what she's doing on the ship. The reason for her transfer,
I want to know what her race is. Whether she's one of those.
I think she's Barzan. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think she is.
Yeah,
that would be like retconning canon, wouldn't it? And that'd be wrong.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't say like can be kind of like a Saru situation where she, she somehow got picked up or like she evolved away from her low or early warp society and there's.
This last episode, it was really good. It tugged on the heartstrings. I mean, you couldn't help but feel bad. You couldn't help but feel bad for Saru throughout that whole episode.
He's going through hell, and he's. I kind of like that. When he fixes up the bridge, and like you hear like the computer like
in the multiple languages,
and then like he goes like he raises his finger, and then it's fixed, and like he turns around and he lifts his finger and said, "It's done." And then like click, everything's fixed. It's like
3 episodes ago when his threat ganglia come out and he's like he touches him briefly and he looks over the guy's looking over. He's like, "Really? You're surprised?" You've been working with him for over a year now. You're surprised?
But yeah, I mean, otherwise we got a classic episode. We have like a mysterious live space thing. I like the twist where it's supposed he wants to die but wants to relay its knowledge. It has a
What
different.
the heck was that?
That was my arm. There we go. So it had they found a nice twist to the genre, I find, and yeah.
JP, I just sent you a picture of what her uniform. It's really different. It's almost like a one piece.
Yeah, let me see here. Let me grab it so I can show it on the screen.
I do really feel bad for Saru though. Just for the fact of him revealing to Michael Burnham that he can never go home because he made a promise to Captain JoJo to not contaminate his own people. And you can't help but feel really bad, especially seeing as he gave up his family to join. Well, not really join out of his own free will. He was he's a refugee. You only can do so much. But just the fact that he can't go home, it was heartbreaking.
No, I agree, and the whole questioning now that he has is like, does the Prime Directive apply now? Because as viewers, we had an inkling that they were being manipulated, but somehow he still believed in the order of things on this planet and everything. But losing his ganglia and finding this new strength, to me, it's kind of I kind of see it like when someone is liberated from a cult. Like either Scientology or Mormons or whatever religious cult or oppressive regime, and then you find out that you've been lied your whole life, and now the danger for Saru is, in danger for anyone else in that situation, is the will for vengeance. Like we know he will go back because we saw it in some of the footage from the coming this season. We saw him with his sister, so we know he's coming back. So the danger is how he will deal with this new truth and this new strength, and if he will abuse it or not. And
I think in the what they call it? The predator species. I can't remember the name of them.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I reckon they are. I reckon they're evolved. That's it. I reckon they are evolved Kelpians.
Yeah, maybe. Or the Kelpians that we know are like kind of like genetically modified versions of the Baul to serve as
game
something like kind of like if you've seen like the movie The Island, a few like 2005, where you had like these had Ethan Phillips in it, and it was like kind of a colony of people, and they didn't know, like they were being told that they were survivors from the nuclear fallout or something, and then you realize that they were just like clones of people waiting for like for being they were holding the organs waiting to be transplanted, so they would be sent to a mysterious island when their time came, when in reality they would just die and their organs being given to the actual person from which they were cloned of.
That's kind of like the Enterprise episode, Simultitude.
Yeah.
Oh, where they clone Trip.
Yes,
Yeah,
just so they can save his life. Yeah.
So it might be something like that too. Who knows? But yeah, it's an established trope in sci-fi. So I wouldn't call it a fun trope, but it's still a trope.
Look, we've had how many Sharknadoes at this point? I'll take anything over that.
Yeah. But yeah, so the mysterious alien trope was nicely done. I liked it. The whole mycelial thing is developing in an interesting fashion.
It's
Not
a good
as-
way for the setup for who's coming back.
Yeah, I know, but I'm glad it wasn't as straightforward as I thought. That the whole coming back of who, and also like the way they intend to close off the the spore drive for good, because like
Yeah.
I was surprised at how quickly Stamets was able to come up with the idea. Yes, I can close it off right now. Like he seemed to already know, like, or have a solution in mind to close off access to the mycelial network. So,
to me, it was more like a ploy to save Tilly
Yeah,
than him
maybe.
actually knowing.
maybe, yeah.
I mean, obviously, he's going to know in like the next episode or 3. But
But
at the time,
again,
it was more a
yeah.
ploy.
But again, the excuse coming from the aliens is again another trope that came from another, kind of a start TNG episode where like they had the like when warp was breaking space and like they had to establish kind of a speed limit, and then 2 episodes
It was
after,
never heard about again.
there you go. They
What was that,
installed-
James?
It was in season 7, and it was the one where the warp driver was like screwing up space or whatever. So the Federation Council imposed a limit of warp 5 in less extreme circumstances and stuff. And then after that episode, you never heard of it again, ever, in DS9 or Voyager.
I remember
That must have been one of the Trek episodes I actually fell asleep during, because I really don't
Maybe.
remember that.
But all you can say is like they installed anti-pollution systems on their warp drive, and there you go, boom.
Well, there was
Approved
an episode. I can't remember. It wasn't an episode. It was basically more of a excuse as to why Voyager's warp nacelles are the way they are. Variable
geometry. Yeah.
That's it. Warp nacelles, which basically means it doesn't do what they were accused
So
of doing.
basically, yeah, they put an anti-pollution system approved by the European Union.
James bringing up Voyager's nacelles. I actually remember, a bit of naysaying earlier on the Treksphere post. Somebody was complaining, saying that the show's good, the story's good, the acting's good, but please, CBS, for the love of God, get rid of the spinny bits on the hull. It's stupid. I'm like, Voyager's nacelles folded up and down. If Voyager's nacelles can fold up and down, we can have stupid spinny bits on Discovery. Go away.
But there is actually they explained that in, I can't remember what episode it was in season 1.
Context is for kings, I think.
Yeah,
they said like it's the energy dissipation kind of.
Yeah, it's like to avoid turbulence. I mean, I get it. It's an in-world explanation. But let's be fair, it was there for the Flash, and
yeah. Well, all I have in mind,
I like it. I like it myself, but it's like if Voyager's nacelles can flap, we can live with spinny bits.
all I see in my mind is like, you remember that the 200 Stargate episode where they had the Muppet.
Oh my!
So,
I love that episode.
It's round. It has to spin. Make it spin. So I see like the producers meeting. Says, well, it's round. Make it spin. Said, okay, boss. And then they made it spin. There you go.
That's one of the funniest episodes of Stargate ever.
It's brilliant. Absolutely great episode. I love how they do the whole Star Trek bit, and they're like, wait, that's Star Trek. They even had the Star Trek references all throughout that thing. I mean, the first time we ever see the X301? No,
Call
we
it the
can't
Enterprise.
call it the Enterprise.
No, I wasn't in like the when they're talking about not the X30, but I think it was like the big battle cruiser, not the Daedalus or the
the 303.
Yeah, whatever. Sorry.
Yep.
or when they were stranded near Jupiter and said like, can't you just beam us up or something? And then you have Carter's dad said, "Oh, this ain't Star Trek,"
Yeah, he's dead now, isn't he? He died this week.
Yeah, he did. 75 years old. I can only imagine how Amanda Tapping took that, because from what I've read, she and him bonded quite a lot on and off screen.
Well,
So that unfortunately we can't live forever, but he leaves behind a good legacy of good entertainment.
We can try anyway.
Don't get me started on quoting Generations. I am one of those heathens that it's my number 2 favorite Star Trek film.
That's all right.
If you turn around and said something like Star Trek 5 is your favorite Star Trek film, then I would have taken it.
I would have my eyeballs gouged out before I ever say that.
It is that's a whole other topic. But going back to Discovery,
how not to make a Star Trek film?
Yeah, I almost thought they were going to kill Saru. Like I knew in my mind, like I knew from fact that I saw, the actor like being in Toronto when they finished shooting, and he was there. So, and then I saw, you saw footage of Saru with, and then. But in my, you had my emotional mind saying, "No, he's gonna die," and then, don't ever do that again, please. Star Trek, don't.
It was such a. You could tell that there's a good chemistry between those two as well. And a lot of people were poo-pooing it and saying, "Oh, it all looked fake" and everything like that. But the chemistry between those two, you can't make that sort of chemistry up when you're acting like that.
Yeah.
Unless you're, you're the best actor on the planet.
And again, people are going to say, like, oh, Michael and Saru, like, they don't have, like, why they're acting so close? And
let's not go down that lane, please.
The thing is, again, they've been working together for, like, 7 to 8 years, as it was established. So, yeah, I mean, work as close as that. Like, it's one thing to be cubicle neighbors in an office, but to work and live on the same starship for years and years, you got to be, at one point, they got to be close. They had, like, in the first episode in Vulcan Salute, like, they already established that kind of like little sister, big brother kind of chemistry.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
but as long as we don't go too far, with the assumptions. I mean,
oh yeah.
Oh, what you mean, like that assumption where everyone was like he was going to
yes.
Yeah.
Or the assumption about Burnham and Spock. Why?
Yeah. It's kind of weird that the actress had to go out of her way on each.
Yeah, well, you know why, don't you?
Every interviews on that during that week, like she said, no, he's not having no, like I saw 2 or 3 different interviews, and every time she says that
they bombarded her with the question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I dropped something on the floor. I had to pick it up if you were wondering what the banging was.
But yeah,
it slides. What I dropped just all the way in the back behind the desk, and it's like I'm gonna hit the microphone at some point. I can't reach it.
That's really strange. I'm just reading up on how that actor died. It's not been released yet.
If it's not, I typically find that if they're not releasing a cause of death, it's probably natural. Because otherwise it would be all over the news. Oh, this guy died from a heart attack, and he was, he left behind a family, blah 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 blah, and they make a big deal out of it. If no reason's given, it's usually natural.
Yeah, no, it's just a bit strange because normally it's probably it's just me like not reading into it, but just me normally they say if there was an illness or something, maybe it was just sudden.
Maybe.
Oh. I have to relay this message back to our topic about the pollution stuff. The person on Second Life, they said, "Oh, you can't beam up. There's no anti-pollution in the beamer," referring to the Stargate episode.
And one thing I thought of also is, how they got that info dump of like 100,000 years worth of data like that could explain how they know so much stuff. Like they know about ancient civilizations, and like it could have like how could they know about Iconians?
I was just about to bring that into the play because I still think the Red Angel is an Iconian just for
I know
how it can get around and what it looks like. And now we have this info dump. Maybe they find out more information about the Red Angel from this creature. But it's like I still subscribe to the idea that thing's an Iconian. It would be cool.
But
It
anyway,
would.
in
Can you imagine the rage that would come from it?
Absolutely, but at the same time, it's like, oh, so that's what an Iconian looks like.
There would be a mix of rage. There would be the, oh, you're retconning canon again, but then there would also be the people that, I think, they did it really well. Star Trek Online, and obviously, their Iconian take on. There would be that, and I don't know. I don't think it is, and I kind of really hope it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It would be an interesting tie-in to TNG, but I mean, at the same time, I wouldn't mind something original.
They can't have other, whatever.
My
There's
biggest
other things to tie in than Iconians.
but bringing it back to episode 4, as great an episode as it was, my biggest beef was the realization that Michael in some way irreparably damaged Spock, which is why we don't hear about Michael Burnham from him or Amanda or Sarek. It's like, yeah, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, why is it seeming that we're attacking Spock? We had enough of that in TNG, thank you. Why are we rehashing this?
I don't know.
I think it's going to be interesting to find out exactly what she did. There's still
agreed.
the people out there think that, she flashed at him or whatever.
Oh.
Yes, because people don't know how to grow up. But it will be interesting, and I kind of... If the Vulcan isolationists were as bad as they're made out to be in both Discovery and they were in Enterprise, because you remember there was that whole arc, wasn't there, with and the whole fact that they were willing to try and work with the Romulans because they didn't there's the history there, so maybe if they were as bad as she thought they were, and the fact that they did try to kill her, don't forget. It'd be quite interesting to see exactly what she did.
Yes, but at the same time, she's now shunned by her own, well, not her own mother, but her foster mother, adopted mother. What do we call Amanda to her at this point?
Foster mother, I think is the proper term.
Okay. So it's like, she admitted to her foster mother why Spock is potentially damaged the way he is. And
she did. I think she didn't even admit it. She didn't say it. I think Amanda,
she didn't say.
Amanda was frustrated because she didn't say it.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, oh, you somehow damaged my son.
Yeah.
My biological son. Mm-hmm. And this is why he's doing it. It was like an immediate shunning. It's like, you don't even exist to me anymore with the way.
I think it was. I don't think it was so much as shunning or whatever. I think it was more of a, because she did kiss her goodbye. If there was that whole.
She didn't. Yeah. At that point, she didn't shun. She's just like, I'm gonna go find my own way. Thank you very much. And
the unspoken. I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah, kind of.
You think.
I think it was more along the lines of, you've hurt me by, potentially doing this to Spock. I don't know. I mean, it's just all like conjecture and hearsay at this point, isn't it? I mean, we don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a little speculation, though. But it just seems to be a recurring theme, over the last, 10 years, ever since 2009. It's like, what is the writer's obsession with bashing on Spock?
Yeah, well, I I mean, he is like the iconic character of Star Trek, much to William Shatner's chagrin.
But why are we justifying throwing this character under the bus so often these days?
I wouldn't say throwing under the bus, but yeah, he's been through some stuff.
He was partially responsible for Romulus blowing up. Let's see what else.
He wasn't responsible for.
Partially, it was partial.
Kind of, the only thing that held him back, technically, according to the Time comic anyway, was the slowness of the Vulcans' administration response to his request. He wanted to help them. It was like the bureaucratic response that was too slow.
Sure.
So then,
don't make promises you can't keep.
Yeah, whatever. Don't.
Oh, that's funny.
But I mean, and then the guy's dead. Can we stop picking on his character? I mean, I hate to use that line, but it's like I'm kind of growing tired of the less bash on Spock that's been coming up, throughout the last 10 years. It's like, can we pick on somebody else? I mean, there's plenty of TOS characters.
I think Tilly's getting a lot of hit that I did last 3 episodes. So
I call that character development.
By punching in the face.
Being thrown across the shuttle bay.
Yeah, the one, or seeing ghosts that makes you crazy and see random things to your captain. Or
that wasn't a ghost. It was a manifestation of the mycelial network.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Look, I look at it this way. I mean, with Tilly's character, she was a cadet. Now she's an ensign. She's on the command track program. She's getting more experience in that program and, with her character, with what's going on, than anybody else in that program.
Oh,
so she's
absolutely
gonna have a leg up, once she, starts climbing the ranks. So she's got some good character development going on. And I'm glad we're seeing more of her in this season than we did in last. Mm-hmm. Both on Discovery and now Star Trek Online with the recently released Mirror of Discovery expansion, which I really need to update Star Trek Online so I can play that. Cause
I played the mission. It was fun, but it was again too short.
Yes, too short, but they're doing these expansions at the same time as Discovery, so you can only do so much.
Yeah, true. Although they did manage to give a lot of expansion for future Killy, so I'm just glad for that.
Captain Killy, best nickname ever.
I do think that the way they're updating Star Trek Online at the moment is a little bit better, maybe.
Absolutely.
Than what they were doing, because they were used to do like one big content drop and then you wouldn't get anything for like 6 to 12 months, but now it's
alive.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was one, was it like November time, I think? And then we had another one in January, so it's quite, the way they're doing it is quite cool. But
absolutely.
I mean,
it's come a long way since it first came out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I can still I can't play for the life of me because the I mentioned it before, but the MMO design is way too grindy for me.
Well, they changed that quite a bit. It's not really a grind anymore. You can just play through the storyline.
Yeah, that's what I try to do, but yeah, I get my ass whipped because I'm horrible at like ergonomy,
specking.
Like specking and
specking.
Because I got a tier 6 sovereign thanks to a code on a Star Trek Attack Wing ship that I bought, and it came with a code for Star Trek Online. So, and I was supposed to have this great ship, and I'm still getting my ass kicked. So
yeah, but that's because you've got like Mark, what is it, 6 gear or something?
Yeah, I know.
I did send you a load of stuff. What have you done with it?
Not much because I need, as I said, I need just. I'll give you my credentials and you have fun with it. I'll
No.
pay you.
'Cause
I'll
both,
pay
no,
you.
because both. Yeah, you don't want to be saying that because both of our accounts could get
I know.
terminated for that. But there is a good website actually that helps you
Hmm.
with builds and stuff like that for Star Trek Online.
See, I don't really nitpick over it. I just kind of look for the basic best stuff and just roll with it. I don't even do any of the
That's what
dilithium
that's
stuff
what I
or
usually
anything.
do.
And when you do it that way, it's really luck of the draw, really.
And
But-
also, I'm probably like you, not because I don't know all the stats and because I have like the screen is filled with buttons and I don't know what they do.
Oh, I
And
don't
I
even
just-
use 75% of what comes up on the HUD. I use the same
I
like
just
four,
like
three,
random click on
four,
stuff and
Oh,
yeah.
that's funny.
the same 4 or
How
5.
long have you two been playing that for?
Me, I've been playing it since it came out day of, on and off.
Okay, so and I've only been playing it since 2012, and
I was actually part of the original beta when it was out.
Wow. Okay.
So I've been playing it longer than release now that I think about it, because I got it on the pre-order back when you could get MMOs on disc, and I actually have the pre-order 1701 TOS Connie on there,
Wow.
and well, obviously the PC version because that's the only thing that came out
Yeah.
at the time, and then as the years went by, I also got the NXL1, a few of the uniform packs. I sadly don't have any of the bridges, but it's coming from the beta. The game has improved massively, but even then, it was still rather easy just to find the quote-unquote best stuff by reading 3 lines, and that was just phaser damage and torpedo damage. And then as far as abilities on there, I'm lame. I use the same 4 abilities over and over: phasers, torpedoes, torpedo spread, boost shields. That's all you need, really.
Yeah.
If you're gunning it solo anyway, that's all you need.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you're
there's
playing in a
evasive
group-
maneuvers, and then there's like alpha strike and beta strike. But
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, 5. I use evasive maneuvers too, but I do the coward's way out, and I use evasive maneuvers to get out of firing
there
range.
you go. Yeah.
Heal up and then go back in.
Or I have
But
like
I
the
don't-
Nimbus,
I don't-
the Nimbus fleet thing
Oh,
that I
the pirate
pressed.
fleet. Yep, the pirate fleet. But no, I don't go crazy. I don't use 75% of what you see on screen. It's just the same basic 5-6 commands.
I can
And-
see James being really disappointed here.
I can hear the eye rolling and the head shaking and the inner crying.
I'm just laughing because it's.
You don't really need to
Well,
grind it.
James, you can fix that.
Well, if you both come online and play at the same time as I do next, then
you know
I will
what?
give you some.
We should
some
do a
pointers.
stream about that, and like you could school us.
I ain't that good. I just know what does what, and I
And,
mean,
that could be a fun thing. We should
Yeah.
try and schedule that. Star Trek
Mistress
Online.
Janeway.
We can do that. How about that? But yeah,
Jeff,
so,
you've got to help us read Mistress Janeway.
oh god,
Wait, what? Nah, hold, what?
wow, that came out of left field.
That'd
Are
be
we
fun.
really doing that? I thought maybe once, one chapter a week instead of doing the whole thing.
I've suddenly come down with the flu and the pneumonia. Nope.
Some of it is hilarious, though. I did a quick read through last week when we were doing this with Jen, and some of it's hilarious. It really is, but some of it's also really, 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 really atrocious.
Not acceptable for Facebook.
No, it probably
How
would
is
have to be a stream to YouTube because of what
How
it
is
is.
Facebook about like spoken sexuality? Because as long as it's not graphic,
I don't know, and it's not something that I wanted to have my account banned over.
But you know what?
So why did your account get
I will
banned?
do
Oh,
something.
I was reading
I
Mistress
will do
Janeway.
something right now. Let me just want to do a quick search here. If there's a page that already exists for that, the pages. Okay, I will do one thing right now, and it is to create a page for Mistress Janeway's podcast. Here, okay.
Oh,
I will
no.
do. I'm doing this right now, Mistress. Mistress Janeway's podcast. There you go. And I say podcast. And now I've put my mark down on Facebook anyway. And the page is now created. So you can now go click Mistress Janeway's podcast. And if there's anything happening with that stupid project of mine, it will happen there.
Oh my god.
Because we keep talking about it, I will eventually have to do it.
Oh my god. Oh my.
Because this time it wasn't me. I understand last week I kept bringing it up, and that was my fault. But this time, James, you brought it up, and now you're going to have to suffer the consequences.
Okay.
I think he's too busy laughing to worry about the consequences.
So let me...
Anyway.
I created a Facebook page.
So, quickly rounding up, what do you reckon is going to happen in terms of how they're going to bring Culber back?
Oh, God. I don't know.
Probably the same way they're going to bring Tilly back. I mean, not to be that guy and go that line, but, I mean, grab them at the same time and get out at the same time is
probably something like
most
that.
likely going to happen. But, I mean, if they could somehow make it into a two-parter where they can only bring one back at a time, that would definitely be more interesting. Even if it's a one-shot where he can't physically leave, it'll be nice to see the character come back.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I understand.
But I noticed that he's wearing a blue uniform, and he died in a white uniform.
Yeah, maybe a different version of
Culber.
Culber.
I was going to say, are we thinking alternate reality, mirror universe Culber?
Might be.
Who knows?
But it could. From what we saw, can you bring that image back up? Because I didn't get a good look at it. Was he sitting in what looked like a hallway of Discovery?
Yeah. But it looks like...
well, kind of like the Discovery like last year when Stamets was stuck in his mind.
Mycelial network, yeah.
I think that's going to be where he physically was. It's kind of like... It's weird, but, that could be like the exact place, where they were.
Could be.
So we'll see.
JP picture so he can whack it up on screen for Jeff.
Just hold on. Let me. Yep, there you go. There's the picture, and I am trying to click on it. Of course, it doesn't work because shenanigans.
Technical difficulties.
Just love it that I just get a notification pop up. JP has invited you to Mistress Janeway's podcast.
Oh god. Oh god. And while we wait for that image to come up,
it is up now.
I really do hope we get to see more of Jet Reno and her character.
Absolutely.
She seems to blend in very well with the Discovery crew.
Can we talk about how both Prince and David Bowie are now canon in the Star Trek universe?
Yes, along with tacos and burgers and
But I mean, it's one thing is they have now money for licensing music, which they never had before, unless we're talking about a movie. So, which
Beastie Boys.
Oh, you're talking about Magic Carpet Ride in Star Trek First Contact.
Okay, that was acceptable. I'm just in this Kelvin timeline. Is that classic music?
Well,
Oh no! I hated that line
I
with a
find it
passion.
funny that now I can almost listen to Metallica on radio station that used to play like music for my grandma or my aunts, you know.
I mean, times change, but don't call Beastie Boys classical.
Thing is, depends
I don't
on your
know,
on
but
your interpretation of the word. It is classical in the sense that it's old music that is accepted as a classic. Then it's classical music, and I'm pretty sure that in a few years, they're gonna bunch up a lot of stuff under the term classical music. It reminds me of the
When you can put Bach and Beastie Boys in the same topic, I really hope that I am 6 feet under at that point.
I mean, if you
how old are you, Jeff?
I'm 26.
Yeah, you see,
yeah.
so we'll be dead about 10 years before you.
At least
But-
we'll all be around for first contact, right?
Well, hopefully so. But reminds me, like if you've seen Doctor Who, in the second episode, they bring up an old jukebox and say this is full of classical Earth music, and then you have like Britney Spears' "Toxic" playing. Again, sci-fi trope calling pop music classical. It's sci-fi trope.
Britney Spears classical music. I'd call it classical shit.
You're on Facebook. You need to be appropriate.
But yeah,
I don't disagree. I don't disagree whatsoever. But yeah, no, I mean it's good to see that they have the budget to finally incorporate more than just references, and actually are able to because of licensing problems.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was quite cool actually, to be honest. I mean, we had in the series 1, didn't we? Had like "Staying Alive," a remix version of that, which was quite cool.
yeah, it was a remix of, but yeah, still, again, licensed music. And on this note, guys, we've been talking for about 2 hours now, and I think we could be time. Yeah, time for potty break, and maybe for James, like a little sleep break also, because you do need to sleep some.
Wait, James sleeps?
I know,
Sometimes.
right?
Sometimes I don't. And then sometimes I do. And then sometimes I fall asleep during the day, and then it's like really, really like confusing because then like I think it's like not like 4 o'clock in the afternoon because I get up and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll just have a quick nap, and then I'm like, yeah, okay, shit, it's like 4 or 5 o'clock.
kind of like last night while we were trying to get pictures and everything all set up for tonight.
Oh yeah, that was
Oh,
funny.
and the notification, time zones.
Yeah, I don't do time zones.
I could just see.
Yeah, because it's weird.
the head
'Cause you
desking
have
the
to
whole
set
time.
it for Wednesday on your side, because you set it for Wednesday midnight, but here it's Tuesday 7 p.m. So
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so time zones suck and they're hard. I don't.
I
Like them.
yeah,
I could hear the head desking multiple times.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is though, is just, Facebook don't make it easy. You should just be able to set it for a date and then whatever, but they don't make it easy.
No,
because,
they don't.
it's
well, they
based
should
on the
allow. The thing is, they should allow for recurring live streams, which would make things even more easier.
Yeah. it would.
Now,
But yeah.
I just want to wrap up on one thing. How excited is everybody for the Picard series? I mean, with Discovery, they were trying to go for a new. With Discovery, was trying to go for a new thing, and now we've got Picard coming in. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's going to be nice to see Picard again, but is it going to have the same?
It will not be the same. It will be entirely different. And will be
I mean,
another
I know it's
feel.
gonna be-
It's going to be
I know
another producing team, another designing crew. Rick Sternbach won't be there to design ships. So people, again, expectations.
But I mean, if there's only so much you can do with one character, and I just how much
Oh,
is
yeah.
he going to change in 19 years? I mean, I'm just worried that they're going to do an injustice to the character. But I mean, from what we've seen from Patrick Stewart, what he said, he likes what they're doing. But on one hand, I'm still a little trepidatious about it.
I think we all are, honestly, but it just, again, I take a deep breath in, I remind myself it's just a TV show, and that whatever happens, I'll just have more Star Trek in the end.
Absolutely.
See,
Okay, I can agree
apart
there.
from the reboot movies, which I don't particularly like, and I don't particularly like TOS, there hasn't been a series of Star Trek that I've gone, shit. So providing they don't make him like they did in Logan, because that was just awful. I think it would be pleasantly surprised just how good it actually is, to be honest. Bearing in mind that it's not someone else writing for him either. He's very hands-on.
Yeah, he's co-producing, so yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. That's confirmed. I heard that.
Yeah, he is co-producing. Well, it could go either way. I mean, there are instances where the actor involved in producing actually, I wouldn't say crashed, but hindered the show. But
Star Trek 5. I'm sorry.
Shatner. Yeah, but the thing is, Patrick Stewart doesn't have that kind of ego, and I think he spoke highly of Michael Chabon. Chabon. The Pulitzer Prize author, which is on the writing team. He's currently actually reading his book right now. So,
I think we'll be surprised. So I think it will, because I mean, one thing that he's always said is, he would come back if it was right, but he's been offered it before and offered chances before, and he's always said no. Now it's either because like people are saying, oh, he's only interested in the paycheck, and it's just like not quite sure why anyone would want to say that, considering how wealthy he probably actually is.
Not to mention being a co-producer, that means you're not really making money right away. You're dishing.
Yeah, so I mean, I do think that we are in for a treat.
Yeah,
but
and I remember reading something like one thing that the current political climate, either in the States or in the UK, kind of, I wouldn't say inspired him, but gave him even more reason to do the show. I honestly think it's going to have to... The current shitstorm of politics that we're in right now is going to have some kind of reflection in what we're going to see on the screen. Which again, it's Star Trek. It's what Star Trek is supposed to be doing. So,
absolutely.
Looking forward to it.
I mean, the political thing in the UK is pretty much it's like a comedy.
Oh yeah,
it's not anywhere near as bad as what it is in America. No offense, Jeff.
So what you're saying is that it's like an episode of Red Dwarf.
Kind of, a bit like Only Fools and Horses and keeping up appearances, and there is some lowlifes out there that decide it's giving them a voice to be bigoted and stuff like that. But if you compare it to what's going on in America, there isn't really a comparison. It's just a running joke and a laugh, really, to be honest with you. That's how most people see it.
But my only other thing to say is to think about, regarding the new Picard series. Do you think we're going to see a return of the First Contact uniforms, or are you just going to see something that's going to be out of like what Star Trek Online has shown with the uniforms? Which do you think that they're going to try to go for?
It's interesting you say that, because about 3 months ago, in one of the Star Trek Online live streams that they did, someone asked the question, how is this going, the new Picard show going to impact Star Trek Online? And I can't remember the guy's name, the community manager, said that CBS approached the game and asked them for all sorts of information. Whether they'll use it or not, I don't know, but whether they take inspiration from the game, who knows?
And I know that Gersha Phillips is not working on the Picard show, but she saw some designs and she was happy, so... I don't know what that means. I just know that it's going to be different from what we see in Discovery. For one reason is, it's not the same costume designer.
fair enough. But yeah, no, those are the only two things that I wanted to bring up. Since the Picard show is also a hot button topic in Trek world.
And one thing I hope is that the costumes, if there are new uniforms, that they're all gonna be easier on the cosplayers. Because the Discovery uniforms
don't look like that horrible. What is it? The one that we saw in All Good Things and Endgame and Visitor and stuff like that. Those one-piece spandex horrible things.
I feel so bad for the TNG cast in season 1 having to wear them spandex pajama things.
I know precisely
so
how
disgusting.
They felt, friend. I have one. Remember?
Yeah, but you have one.
I know the Picard maneuver intimately.
You have one uniform. Now imagine 12 or so people on the bridge all wearing it. That stuff doesn't clean out there. Once when I was 3 years old and met Shatner, but
yeah,
I don't have the.
You should have been there. We had a scant photo shoot, and so there was a lot of spandex in one place.
But yeah, no, I remember reading that during the filming of season 1 and 2, when they were using those spandex uniforms, that it just reeked of BO.
Oh yeah.
I feel so bad for the TNG cast when they were doing that season. So no spandex going forward.
On this note, friends, I think it is time to go to bed and to say goodbye. So, Jeff, it's been nice and always lovely to hear your wonderful voice. And now get out. And well, James, I'll see you next week. All right?
I think you already fell asleep.
He's James still there? Oh, well.
Hello.
Yes, he's alive.
He lives.
Yes.
What did you
My
drop?
microphone's dead.
All right.
I was sat there and I was going like, hello.
That is a sign to close things off if I can see one. So thanks, James, and see you next week.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Have a good night, gentlemen.